With an illustrious career like she has, Angelina Jolie's net worth will leave people astounded. Her net worth is estimated to be about $116 million. She has done some of the highest grossing films in Hollywood like Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Maleficent, and Girl Interrupted. For acting in Maleficent, Jolie reportedly received a payment of $33 repeat million from Disney. Angelina has also ventured into directing with successful movies like Unbroken, By the Sea, and First They Killed My Father in her kitty. She also has a production house called Jolie Pass, which brings in huge cash for the actor. She was paid $13.76 million approximately for working in Lara Croft, Maleficent, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith. She was also paid $23.37 million by Netflix for her drama based on the memoirs of Long Young. Although her movie The Tourist with Johnny Depp did not gross a hefty amount at home, globally it earned $5.99 billion according to Box Office Mojo. In between transitioning to filmmaking roles behind the camera, Jolie enjoys her $116 million net worth of wealth either by splurging the money on her kids or investing in her humanitarian efforts. Here are some other ways that Jolie spends her money these days. Her art collection. Before they finally went ahead with their divorce, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt together had quite an impressive art collection that was worth boasting about. It would be interesting to know who got what art pieces once everything about their split was finalized. One of their more lucrative purchases was when they acquired one of British artist Kanye's prestigious boy soldier pieces. The couple also spent $2 million on a number of Banksy pieces awarded at the Lazardias Gallery auction in 2007. Extremely large friends shouty. Some of us wonder how big a celebrity holiday house needs to be. Realistically speaking, if your name is Angelina Jolie, the answer to that question would be that it needs to be bigger than a house, it needs to be a shouty. In 2008, Jolie and Brad Pitt purchased Shouty Mirabel in France for $35 million. The driveway alone is 3 miles wide and there are 35 bedrooms inside of the Shouty. It's also surrounded by a moat, vineyards, woods, and even a forest. It's like a castle straight out of a fantasy storybook. Buying the former home of Cecil B. DeMille. Cecil B. DeMille is a man who has been cemented in film history as a pioneer of filmmaking. In many ways, he is a founding father of the film industry, so much so that the Golden Globes named their honorary awards after him. Naturally, as a student of the game herself, we can understand why Angelina Jolie would admire the man and his contributions to film greatly. Perhaps to be closer to his spirit, Jolie bought the late filmmaker's $24,500,000 estate located in Los Feliz. Riding in a private jet, sometimes she pilots. Since celebrities have to travel the world on a regular basis, most celebrities have their own private jet, so they don't get bombarded by fans every time they have to fly on a normal plane. Jolie is no different. Well, she's a little bit different. While she does have her own family private jet that she pays for, she also has authority to fly the plane herself. Since 2004, Jolie has owned her own pilot's license and sometimes she flies herself through the air. She owns her own Cirrus SR-22, which costs $334,700. taking her kids to Go-Kart World in California. Not all of the Jolie family's festivals have to be educational field trips. Sometimes she takes her kids places where most parents take their kids just to have fun. One particular example was when she was spotted bringing all of her children to Go-Kart World in Carson, California. The go-karting spot is popular among the celebrities and their families. Kate Hudson, Victoria Beckham, Ashton Kutcher, and Demi Moore have been noted as frequent visitors, and Jolie had the whole park rented out for a private party celebrating her son Maddox's 19th birthday. To produce and direct her own movies. Angelina Jolie has spent the last few years quietly walking away from her career as an actress in favor of doing work from behind the camera, predominantly as a director. As of this writing, Jolie has directed 3 films. Sometimes for these projects, Jolie has had to pull money out of her own pockets to get her movies made. Jolie is correctly prepping to put her producer hat on once more to produce an upcoming biopic about Olympic gold medalist James Thorpe. The project is still in the early stage of development. A secret hideout in Cambodia. Last year, Angelina Jolie started quite a bit of controversy. She bought 7.5 hectares of land in Cambodia from Phnom Penh, a former Khmer Rouge commander who has been accused of terrible acts. Jolie bought the jungle plot for what would amount to about $70,000 to $80,000 USA. In related news, Jolie recently wrote and directed a movie that she filmed in Cambodia. It was called First They Kill My Father and can correctly be viewed on Netflix. New Orleans Mansion. In 2017, in the wake of Hurricane Katrina, Angelina bought a house in New Orleans together for $3.5 million. The home dates back all the way to the 1830s and is highlighted by at least 70,650 square feet of space. Much of the space is occupied by 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and grand elevator, a 2-car garage, walls plastered in Venetian, marble mantlets, and crown moldings. Brad and Angelina recently sold this mansion for $4.9 million at the time of their split. Anyone who commits to a schedule like Angelina Jolie's as an actress, director, activist, and full-time mom has to feel exhausted at least once in a while. When the most exhausting days get to Jolie, she decided to take an R&R rest and relaxation day to herself. Her favorite spot to give herself such a day is at the Sukantara Spa. The spa can be found in Thailand and is specialized in giving its customers some of the best facials and massages in the world. A Ford Explorer she drove to the set. In 2011, Angelina Jolie was spotted driving a Ford truck onto the set of one of her movies. We're not exactly sure which one of those movies she might have been filming at the time, but we do know exactly what kind of car she was driving, and to be frank, it was not just any old Ford truck. The truck that Jolie was driving was the Ford Explorer, which had to have cost at least $39,595 in 2011. Her West London home. In 2012, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie decided to once again add to what was then an already staggering collection of homes after doing some house scouting in West London. They decided to settle on a $16.18 million Hornets Place mansion. They had rented the house out the year before a month for $48,520, which Pitt was in town to film his latest movies World War Z, and the couple loved every inch of it enough to buy it a year later. A Villa Costanza. In 2010, deep in the hills of Valpolicella, Italy, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie bought themselves a mansion villa that sits at 18 square feet. The Italian estate comes with 15 rooms, 8 bathrooms, a home theater, a vineyard, several stables, and 2 swimming pools. The reason for their purchase was because the family had fallen in love with the country of Italy while Jolie was filming her movie The Tourist there. Their purchase cost them $41 million. A memorable trip to Disneyland. Every kid wishes and deserves to spend a day frolicking about a Disneyland, and in 2017, Angelina Jolie granted that wish for her kids. To celebrate her daughter Sheila's 11th birthday, she gathered together Sheila, some of her friends, and her siblings Vivienne and Knock, and treated them all to a trip to Disneyland. Considering that the family had been reeling the past year over Brangelina's divorce, this had to have been a much-deserved stress-relieving trip for the children. The Maddox-Jolie project. In hopes of getting more in touch with her adopted son Maddox's native heritage, Jolie bought a home in Cambodia that took up 39 hectares of land. 16,000 acres adjacent to her home was a national park that courtiers would frequent, putting several breeds of endangered animals, which would include Asian black bears, Asian elephants, and Indochina's tigers, at risk. To save the animals, Jolie bought the park and turned it into a wildlife reserve, which she appropriately named the Maddox-Jolie Project. An admission to a French high school for the kids. The Jolie family must really be in love with France. Not only have they visited numerous landmarks there, and not only do they own a charity there, but one of the Jolie's children go to school at French language school. The 17-year-old Maddox-Jolie Pitt was admitted by his parents to Lycée Francis de New York, which literally translates to French High School of New York. It is an independent private bilingual school. It is reported that Jolie is kicking out $36,500 a year for him to go there. $1 million emerald outfit at the Oscars. On a normal year at the Oscars, everybody is gunning for some gold, but at the 2009 event, everyone was talking about the emerald copied by Angelina Jolie as she graced the red carpet. She stepped onto the scene wearing a pair of emerald drop earrings by Lauren Schwartz that weighed a total of 115 carats. To match, Jolie wore an emerald 65-carat ring, also by Lauren Schwartz, that cost over $1 million. All of the jewelry that Jolie wore that night was reported to cost a total of $3.5 million. BMW Hydrogen 7. It is unclear whether this ride belonged to Angelina Jolie or her husband at the time, Brad Pitt, but whoever it was who bought it, Brangelina arrived at the Los Angeles premiere of Pitt's latest film, Ocean's 13, in a BMW Hydrogen 7 back in 2007. In the case that it actually was Jolie that bought the car, she would have kicked it out $118,000 for the world's first hydrogen-powered luxury sedan. It is environmentally friendly. Hot air birthday balloon for the kids. In 2007, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt adopted a 3-year-old boy named Pax from Vietnam. 4 years later, Jolie decided to do something huge for the boy on his 17th birthday, and by huge, what she had in mind was to fly the family out to Paris and then rent out a hot air balloon for a 20-minute ride through the sky. As if that was not enough, Jolie then took Pax onto the luxurious Josephine boat, which she had decorated with blue and yellow balloons for 90 minutes cruise. Going to Peru to help refugees. When she isn't on a movie set, Angelina Jolie often decides her time to being a humanitarian. Her most recent humanitarian effort has seen her work as a special envoy for the United Nations High Commissioners for Refugees on behalf of people trying to leave unsafe countries. Last month, in October, she traveled to Peru to advocate for refugees to make their way there from Venezuela. She met Venezuelans to hear their stories about their experience in their harsh native land. Yachts to travel by the sea. First things first, yes, By the Sea is the pun for that one movie that she directed starring herself and Brad Pitt. And yes, we are so clever. Thank you. Now back to business, and we'll just cut to the chase of this one. Angelina Jolie and her then partner Brad Pitt spent a jaw-dropping $322 million to buy a superjet. If you think that price tag for a giant boat is ridiculous, they kicked it out an additional $200,000 just to decorate. We guess celebs will go through any lengths to make sure they can travel through the waters of the world. We're too broke to understand.